We did not walk into this freedom on our own. We were carried by a tide of solidarity.
South African businesses in Nigeria, like MTN, MultiChoice, etc., should be nationalized.
Remove the problem, which is the migrants that are not allowing us to fight the government. I said this in one of the interviews. Let me explain to you how.
Okay.
Burna Boy is our product.
All of them are our products. All of them are our products. And what do? They get famous in Europe. They get famous in countries where they think that we cannot touch them.
You see, everyone is boycotting South Africa. You see, this is a South African DJ, and he woke up this morning and his shows were cancelled in African countries.
So now the South African president has finally apologized after Ghana rejected his state visit. He has finally apologized and he says he's sorry. He's sorry. And he also basically spoke to his people, that's his South African people. And also JACINTA is now giving us the top 3 things that she actually wants the government of South Africa to do. And when the government of South Africa is able to do something like that, or what they are requesting for, the top 3 things that they are requesting for, she will go and sleep and will not come back to the street again. And also I have other videos to show you. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. You don't lose anything by liking. Just give the video a thumbs up. Let's go into the video.
I stand before you to express my regret and to apologize for what has happened in our country. What has happened in South Africa goes against the principles of the unity of the African people that President Nelson Mandela stood for. That South Africans are not xenophobic. South Africans are not against nationals from other countries. We welcome people from other countries, and we are going to work very hard that we encourage and promote social cohesion of all the people of South Africa, working and living side by side with people from other parts of our continent. We did not walk into this freedom on our own. We were carried by a tide of solidarity from the nations of Africa. These countries opened their borders to our liberation fighters. When the apartheid government was pursuing our liberation fighters, they ran to a number of countries around the world, but especially on our continent. They shared their stories with our neighbors, and our neighbors shared their spaces with them, and they gave them safety. They even fed them. They gave them bread, and they opened their homes. They spoke for us when we could not speak for ourselves. They took risks so that we could be free. Their countries were bombed. Their nationals were killed. And all that they did for our sake as well. They supported our freedom. The leaders and the people of Africa kept our freedom alive and our struggle for freedom alive. It cannot be and must never be that we trample into the dust the African fellowship that made our freedom possible. We are a people who live the value of Ubuntu. We should never allow the legitimate concerns of our communities about illegal migration to breed prejudice and hatred towards our fellow Africans. We should not allow that to happen. Yes, we all have concerns, as many other countries in the world have concerns about undocumented and illegal migrants. We must not allow these concerns to give rise to xenophobia, to give rise to hatred that is directed towards people from other African countries or any parts of the world.
It feels like once we have chased all of these immigrants away, say they're gone tomorrow, that it will not have fixed the underlying problem that is government failing.
But you see, that's where I feel a lot of people are wrong.
Okay.
The issue may be about migrants, but it's far bigger than that. It's about fighting a system,
Okay.
which is a government system.
Okay.
And once people are able to stand up to their government
Mm-hmm.
and remove that system completely,
Okay.
it ushers in new opportunities for new governance and a new system to take over the country.
Is there a further larger revolution on the horizon then?
The revolution has already started.
And what does
The
it look
minute
like?
South Africans are not sitting on their phones
Yeah.
and they are on the streets demanding,
Yes.
trust me, it means this country will never go down.
Okay, so then that scares me a little bit, and I'll tell you why. I see the immigrant being made scapegoat, rightfully so. There's criminal elements, there's jobs being taken. I'm not disputing that, and I agree with you that they need to go. We need law and order. Okay, once they go, our economy is still stalled. Right, there may be some more job openings, but the economy is still stalled. We still don't have the infrastructure. We've still got crime. Who's the next target?
But you see, that's where the problem is.
But who's the next to blame?
There's
is my
no
question.
target here. The issue is with government. The issue is with the system.
But if we're saying
the
it's with
system
government-
is allowing for migrants
Yeah.
to currently clog the system so that South Africa does not grow,
I hear you.
then the problem is not only the migrants, it's the system. So
I
when
hear
we
you.
fight the current system,
Yeah.
we remove the problem, which is the migrants that are not allowing us to fight the government. I said this in one of the interviews. Let me explain to you how.
Okay.
Let's talk about capitalism, for example,
Yes.
which is obviously we're in a mixed economy right now. Now, capitalism is the one system that has led us to come here where we are today, where we have millions of migrants that are unaccounted for because of cheap labor, right?
Okay.
With cheap labor comes how many other problems? Obviously, South Africans not working, the rich becoming richer, poor becoming poorer, poorer people become criminals because they need to survive. When they need to survive, they're going to end up fighting the rich. Obviously, that's a system, that's how it works. It's like a ripple effect.
Yes.
Now, if we're saying to the poor people, you have an opportunity to change the system.
Yes.
You can change your government.
I hear
And
you.
by changing your government,
Yeah.
it means dismantling all of these things at the same time. Because remember, let me give you an example. When we say that there's a lot of crime, migrants, whatever, right? What happens? There's more police visibility. When there's more police visibility, it's not just to fight migrants. When the police are there, they're not going to say, oh, no, I'm just chasing migrants down the streets. I'm going to ignore you while you rob a store. It's not going to work that way. Even those who are committing crimes, there's more police visibility for all crimes throughout, which is something we've never seen happening in the country before.
And I'm for more policing. That's
Yeah.
great. But come back to the idea of we've put a target on the immigrant. That's the problem that we have within the system. And we're saying there's this bigger systematic problem that we have to take on. What stops us from then saying, you know what the next problem is?
We're not putting
white
a
capital.
no.
They need to go next.
There's always been a target on white capital.
So
That's the thing.
So
That's
now-
why the EFF
So now
is
we've
here today.
organized and we're seeing movement, we're seeing our power, and we're rallying behind the revolution. And first we're saying immigrants out. What's to stop the next target? Because we need a target. There always has to be someone to blame.
No, you see, that's where you and I will disagree.
There's no target. I'm asking the question.
The target is government. I repeat that again.
But it's pointed at immigrants.
No, the target is government for allowing the issue of illegal immigrants to thrive in the country. The target is government for not enforcing their own laws. The target is government
But you're not marching on Parliament to take on Parliament.
No, we are.
You're chasing immigrants away.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No. That's not true. All our marches went to either a government building or a police station.
Yes.
Ours ended at the police station, Point Road. You know why? Because Point Road is one of those places with organized crime where all of these Nigerians and all of these people are committing crimes.
Yeah.
There was one that went straight to the union buildings, which was not the first time we went to the union buildings, by the way. And all the other provinces went to a government building.
And so you're going to the building?
Yes, and we're handing over memorandum to government and demanding answers from government. And these memorandums that we're handing over, by the way, are listing the same laws that we have in the country that the government is meant to be enforcing. It's not sitting there and saying, we're going to tell you there's 2 million migrants, remove them. What? No, we're saying there are laws that you wrote down.
Yes.
And you said, in order for me to hire a foreigner, for example, I need to follow this process. Currently, you're the same government that's not following that process.
There was a meeting with the president and some of your colleagues.
Yeah.
You didn't get an invite to the meeting.
No.
What happened? Why?
I don't know. You know, I don't even want to delve much into that because sometimes I know politics is like a dirty game. You know, sometimes they could be doing this for their own reasons to try and fit into some narrative.
Are they trying to create a split?
I think, you know, from what I've noted and what I've listened to them when they speak, they say a lot of things about, some of these organizations are pushing political agenda, whatever. So I do feel like they're trying to imply that maybe like this whole, I've noted a lot of fear around Jacob Zuma, you know, and I have a Zuma surname. We're not related to Jacob Zuma, but for some odd reason, I think this is the only surname in the world where you can have the same, I mean, they can be a Smith in South Africa, they can be a Smith in America, but nobody says, oh, you're a Smith. Are you related to Jacob Zuma? Like everywhere I go, like, is Jacob Zuma your father? Like, I've only had the Zuma surname for a couple of years, but my God, it carries a lot of, it's scary. Like, it's got a lot of negative undertones to it and a lot of, so I'm just like a Zuma who's married to my husband, who's not a Zuma, who's related to Jacob Zuma, but somehow anything that you say is already attributed to, I'm tired. I just hope it ends quickly. You know, if the government can say tomorrow, we're doing those 3 things, I can go back to sleeping peacefully and just like never be seen in the media again.
What is your solution? What's your 3-step plan in terms of how we work this out?
Simple. First of all, secure the border. We don't have a border. That's all we're asking for. First of all, secure the border. Second of all, now you've got this problem of people that are already in the country. You can only solve that by talking to the countries that these people belong to. Fix your diplomatic relationships with these other countries so they can come and collect their people peacefully without fights. Because nobody who's in the country legally should be here anyways. Thirdly, fix your legislation so that it doesn't allow for a time where this must ever happen again.
South African businesses in Nigeria, like MTN, MultiChoice, etc., should be nationalized and the proceeds/shares be used to pay Nigerians and Nigerian businesses who have suffered losses in the xenophobic attack in South Africa. Well,
we made a mistake in 2008 in government. That in 2008 there was a very bad outbreak of xenophobia in the country, as a result of which at least 62 people were killed. It's true, there was that, something happened, and so many people were killed. I'm saying the mistake we made is this.
He's one of the guys that helped put Davido on. South Africa helped put all of these guys on. These guys didn't have anything before the Channel O Awards.
Burna Boy is our product.
All of them are our products. All of them are our products. And what do? They get famous in Europe. They get famous in countries where they think that we cannot touch them. And then what do? They denigrate us. They shit on our names.
Yeah.
That's what they do. So we need to boycott these motherfuckers.
You see, everyone is boycotting South Africa. You see, this is a South African DJ, and he woke up this morning and his shows were cancelled in African countries. He was like, this shouldn't be happening. He's not happy, right? South Africans don't want anyone, right? Nobody will want South Africans around them too. It will get to a point where we see South Africa will only have South Africa to run to. South Africa will only have their own country to go to. Like this now, South Africans are to leave Nigeria with their businesses before the ending of this month. Or we will also start behaving like animals. We will start looting their shops, beating them up. You might think this is not possible, but we are going to do it. That's true. Even Ghanaians don't want them in their country. The whites want to separate South Africa. And we all know the reason why Rwanda is strong is because the whites created it and gave it everything it needs to be that valuable. And if the whites decide to make Cape Town their own country, they will start using the rand as their currency because they own it, right? So the black South Africans must have to go and look for their own currency. And we all know their currency is going to be the most useless and worthless currency. Those guys are lazy. They don't have any skills. Nothing good is coming out of them. So it's going to be the most worthless currency in the whole Africa. Very soon, South Africans, you guys will start seeing result of what you guys are doing. You guys have already started seeing it. But it's not yet hitting you guys we suppose until you guys settle down.
As Malawian families flee xenophobic violence in South Africa, concern is growing for hundreds of young children. Many have spent days in makeshift camps and endured long journeys with limited access to food, clean water and health care, worsening their plight. Government figures show that out of the estimated 22,000 Malawians who have returned home, 1,659 are children under the age of 5, a group considered especially vulnerable to illness and hardship. Their situation has prompted child rights advocates to call for urgent support and protection for these children.
It's not a good situation for any child to be exposed to, and even the whole process of being in the camps, waiting for transportation. And at the time where some of these parents were being chased, they didn't have anything with them. No food, no basic necessities, no hygiene kits, no warm blankets, nothing really. They've just been able to rescue their children and go to the camps. And this situation has literally traumatized a lot of children who have been there in the cold, just waiting for a transportation back to Malawi.
Health experts are also raising the alarm, warning that prolonged travel and poor living conditions could leave these young children at greater risk of malnutrition and other health complications.
Most of these children are the 5, and that their care, their support, even their protection is also at risk.
As more families cross the border, some Malawians have launched crowdfunding campaigns to support the government's voluntary repatriation efforts.
To my fellow South Africans who are outside of South Africa, in any African country, this is what I want to say to you guys. If you're a South African and you're not in South Africa at this particular time, and you are not even saying anything about what has been happening in South Africa, what has been happening to your fellow Africans, I believe that those people have rights to kick you out of their country. You understand? The way my people, my South African, kicked out other foreign nations, African foreign nations from their country, I believe you guys deserve the same. If you're not speaking up, if you have a voice, you're not speaking up. If you're a celebrity, you're not speaking up. If you are somebody that has social media, you are there traveling and going to other countries and you're quiet, no. It means to me, it means you are in support of everything that has been happening. And you're okay for the fact that foreigners are being kicked out of South Africa, which is not right at all. I'm an African woman and I love all African nationality. You understand? So I will never be quiet. I will never be quiet. A lot of people were killed in South Africa, and the fact that this xenophobic, Afrophobic, or whatever phobic it is, it's not the first time it has been happening. And it's not the first time. It's been happening for a very long time, and many African nations have been quiet. They've not been retaliating towards it. They've just been, keeping quiet, and a lot of damage has happened. But this time around, Africans, my fellow Africans, Zimbabweans, Mozambican, Ghana, Nigeria, Malawi, Zambia, Uganda, and every other African countries that I did not mention. It is time for you guys to stand up for your people, for your country. If there's any South African that is coming to your country to come and perform, do not allow them. I agree with my Titi for what she's doing. It is very good. No South African is allowed to go to Zimbabwe to go and perform. If you know you're a celebrity and you're not speaking up to anything that has been happening in South Africa, then stay in your country. Go and perform in Durban. Go and perform in Cape Town. For all we care, go and perform anywhere. At this point in time, I want to secure a Zimbabwean passport.
Africa has a saying that when a man prepares a meal for an entire village, that meal will not go near anywhere. The whole community will consume. It won't go anywhere. But that when that same community prepares a meal for that same man, it will be difficult, impossible for that man to consume, the entire meal. And that is exactly what is happening to South Africa at the moment. Remember, I had warned in previous videos that South Africa's choice of sacking Africans they classified as undocumented immigrants was going to be a boomerang on the entire nation. In fact, I received a lot of clapback. South Africans coming after me to say I shouldn't bother about whatever happens afterwards. But right now, it is beginning to become obvious that African countries are rising against South Africa. First was that during the World Cup, South Africa suffered support isolation from fellow Africans. Now, Uganda, their chief of defense forces, has asked every South African citizen in Uganda to leave Uganda between now and August ending. That's just the beginning. Now, why people were saying, oh, that just is a personal view, since he shared those thoughts on his verified X handle. We have seen videos online of Ugandans who stood in the front of MTN offices in Uganda. Do not forget, that is a big statement because MTN is a South African company. And what did they say? They are in agreement with what the chief of their country's defense forces has said earlier, that every Ugandan, now they are saying whether registered or not, must leave Uganda between now and the end of August. That afterwards, go and check out what they say will happen. And that is what I had warned earlier, that by South African government allowing mobs under whatever pretense or name to attack Africans, to ask them to move en masse, was not going to pay off South Africa any good. Maybe South Africans calculated that since they did same thing in 2008 and about 60 persons of other African nations were killed, countries didn't react except through diplomatic channels. They repeated same in 2015, 2019. Maybe they now concluded that since other Africans, nationals, did not respond in their own manner, those 3 episodes, that this time around, they will still remain in that same state of mind. But this time around, they seem to have missed all of it because other countries in Africa are beginning to ask that South Africans in their countries also should go. Now, who is going to be the ultimate loser? Africa does not need all of this right now. What Africa needs is unity. What Africa needs is being united in their quest to improve their respective economies. Uganda have started. Who knows which country next will join? And before you know it, it will spread. South Africa will be the ultimate loser. I wished Cyril Ramaphosa, their president, had not supported these 2026 xenophobic attacks on Africans. Please share this. Drop us a comments. Follow us. And let's pray for South Africa, that sense will prevail. Thank you.
You see, this is the apology that we have been waiting for. This is the apology that we have been looking for a very long time, but we haven't gotten it. You know, we were expecting this from the president, but we have not gotten it since. And for me, I think it is good that he has come out to speak. Some people are saying that this particular video is not recent. I don't know, but I got it from a reliable source, and I think whether it is recent or not, so far as it involves the xenophobia attacks and he's basically addressing it and talking about it and apologizing, I think it also makes sense. Now, Jacinta, this is the three things that she has listed, and she's basically saying that if the government of South Africa is able to do for them, she is going to be in a house or a room and she will not come back onto the street. Fair enough. I have always maintained that what they are seeking for from the government is not something that I think is a bad thing, but the way they are going about it is the issue, because so many people have actually lost their properties, their lives and all that, and it is very, very sad. So I don't think you want your government to do something for you. You have the right to demonstrate and all that, yes, but the way you guys are going about it, that is where the problem is. And just look at this South African DJ. He's saying that his shows have been cancelled in the whole of Africa. Like every show that he has within Africa, it has been cancelled. Listen, the thing is affecting people. It is affecting other South Africans. But the problem is that the good South Africans are not coming out to speak. Just a few. I've actually seen a few. But most, even the artists, the celebrities, you are not seeing them come out to speak against what is going on. So if these things are affecting you, we don't have a problem, because if you come out to speak, as the lady said, it sends a message to other South Africans to know that what they are doing is not right, or the way they are going about it is not right. I'm sure you guys have fans in South Africa, and I think they will listen to you. So do better. Thank you so much for watching.